The morning in the jungle always seemed beautiful, but those who knew the reality of the jungle knew how much ruthlessness lay hidden behind its beauty. The sun hadn't fully risen yet, but its light was slowly spreading over the golden grass of the savanna. The air was cool, the soil damp, birds were softly chirping, yet the silence hidden within the jungle told a different story. This was not the kind of silence that brings peace. This was the silence that said everything was on alert. The prey, the predator, hunger, and death. Amidst this grass, a lioness lay with her cubs. There was no sleep in her eyes, only exhaustion. But despite the fatigue, there was a strange hardness, a strange sense of responsibility within her. She hadn't slept at all during the night. Throughout the night, she had been listening to the sounds around her. Sometimes the laughter of hyenas, sometimes the hungry cries of jackals, sometimes the distant scurrying of antelopes. Darkness in the jungle always signals danger, but for a mother, that danger is double. Because she is not living just for herself, she is living for her cubs as well. Her 4 cubs were only a few days old. Their eyes weren't fully open, their bodies were still weak, and they couldn't even walk. The lioness would clean them one by one, then hide them deeper in the grass. At this moment, these cubs were among the weakest creatures in the jungle, and the jungle never shows mercy to the weak. This was the time when the jungle's ruthlessness stood before a mother's love. On one side, hunger. On the other, the lives of her cubs. On one side, the need to hunt. On the other, the compulsion to stay hidden. The lioness's body was low on strength because everyone in the jungle knows if she doesn't hunt, she becomes weaker for her cubs than for herself. She hadn't caught any big prey for the past 3 days. The cubs demanded milk, but milk only comes when the body has strength. Her breath was heavy, but her heart carried only one fear, that if she didn't find prey today, the cries of her cubs would start to fade. And when the cubs' cries fade, a mother's spirit breaks. The sun climbed a little higher, the light spread a little more, and the jungle became a little more ruthless. Every animal moved with its herd. Every predator set out in search of prey, and the lioness, she was gathering her strength. Today, she had to make a decision. Leave the cubs to hunt, or spend another day with hunger gnawing at her? But in the jungle, hunger is not just hunger. Hunger is time. Hunger is choice. Hunger is the distance between life and death. The lioness looked at her cubs one last time, pressed them close to her body, took a deep breath. Then she slowly stood up. Each step was filled with pain, yet her resolve was strong. This was the moment when the lioness became more than a mother, she became a warrior. Today, the morning in the jungle was indeed peaceful, but this morning placed a battle before the lioness that would change her entire life. This was the beginning, after which every day, every step was a story, the true journey of a lion's life. The jungle morning was now fully awake. Sunlight sparkled on the grass. Birds had raised their sharp calls. And all around, life was in motion. But for the lioness, this morning was not like any ordinary day. Today, a different fear weighed on her heart. The first day of her cubs being without her protection. When the lioness goes out to hunt, the cubs are left alone in this grass, where enemies lurk everywhere. For a lion cub, the greatest danger in life is not the king of the jungle, but the small predators who constantly search for an opportunity. These cubs were still so weak that their cries were not fully formed. Their paws were soft, their necks fragile, and their eyes had no understanding of the world yet. The lioness pressed them deep into the bushes so that no enemy could spot them. Because in the jungle, the rule is, those who hide, survive. Before stepping out of the grass, the lioness looked back several times. Each time, her eyes reflected the fear that only a mother can understand. But she knew that her cubs could only survive if she fought against hunger. The cubs lay alone. Their whole world was still just this small patch of grass. Without their mother's warmth, they felt a slight shiver. They huddled together as if reassuring each other. We are not truly alone, yet. From a distance, the sound of hyenas sometimes reached them. Sometimes the cries of wild dogs. Sometimes footsteps shook the grass. Each time, the cubs flinched, and their hearts raced even faster. The lion cubs are as innocent as they are. Valuable prey. For hyenas, for wild dogs, for leopards, these cubs are easy targets. And today, the lioness was not there to protect them. Meanwhile, a shadow approached them. The grass rustled. The wind shifted. The cubs froze and tried to suppress their cries. This was the moment when the jungle fell silent, and danger felt near. But fortunately, the shadow was not a major predator. It was a deer, moving ahead, guided by the scent of the air. Yet danger is always present. This was the cubs' first battle, living with fear, staying silent to survive, holding their breath until their mother returned. Time passed very slowly. Each minute felt like an hour. The cubs shifted slightly, sniffing the air to sense if their mother was returning. They still did not understand why she had gone. All they felt was waiting and hunger. But this waiting, this fear, was the first step in a lion's survival. From afar, the roar of the lioness could be heard. The prey had not yet been caught, but she was returning. As soon as the cub sensed her scent, its weak little legs began to tremble. The mother's return felt like a victory to the cubs. The lioness reached the bush. The cubs immediately clung to her body. She licked them clean, as if asking, "Are you okay?" And the cubs pressed their faces against her as if answering. This moment was small, but in the jungle, these moments are life itself. This was the cubs' first day, their first battle, and their first victory. No matter how harsh the daylight in the jungle is, the darkness of the night is always far more dangerous. During the day, enemies can be seen, but at night, even a sound can feel like a threat. As dusk fell, a strange silence spread across the savanna fields. The wind had stopped, the birds had gone quiet, and a partial moon appeared in the sky, casting a faint light on the grass. This was the time when the jungle took on a new shape. Afraid, hungry, silent, and very dangerous. The lioness moved her cubs to a safe spot once again. She knew that hunters change locations frequently at night, so if she stayed in one place, the enemy would reach her sooner or later. This fear of the mother was real. She had seen countless times in her life that a single moment of carelessness could destroy the entire family. The cubs were already weak. Food had been scarce. And the lioness was tired, but in the jungle, fatigue has no value. To sit down exhausted and hand your life to the enemy is the same as dying. As the night deepened, the sounds began. First, the distant laughter of hyenas.
I've never seen anything like this.
That strange, terrifying, heart-shaking sound that in the darkness feels like someone is smiling while announcing death. Then the sounds of wild dogs running. Then occasionally, the faint growl of a leopard. Each sound a sign of danger, and each sound made the cubs curl up tighter. The lioness stood like a shield in front of her cubs. She didn't take a single step back, her body strong. Her eyes was watching the night with intense focus. For her, this night was not for rest. It was a night for vigilance, because she knew this world was not made for the weak. After a while, something heavy moved in the grass. The lioness immediately rose. She let out a low roar, not too loud, not with full force, just enough for the enemy to know. This place is not empty. A mother is here. The grass rustled and then fell silent. For a few moments, even the cubs' breaths could be heard. Then, suddenly, from afar, the sound of fast footsteps came, as if some animal had run away. The danger had passed. But in the jungle, the passing of danger is always temporary. The lioness returned to her cubs. She knew that tonight she would not sleep again. She sometimes looked at the sky. Sometimes sniffed her cubs, sometimes raised her head to listen to the sounds around. There was not fear in her eyes, but responsibility. And in the jungle, responsibility is stronger than fear. In the deep night, when darkness was everywhere, the lioness pressed her cubs under her belly. For a brief moment, she felt comfort from their warm breaths. The danger was still there. The darkness still prevailed. But the mother's presence made the cubs safe, if only for a moment. The night slowly passed. Each hour felt like the weight of a full day. But the lioness did not lose courage, nor did she sit feeling weak. She knew that in the jungle, where hunger is the enemy, darkness is its brother. Both can strike at any time, yet this night also passed, despite danger, fear, hunger, and darkness. And as the first faint colors of morning appeared in the sky, the lioness's eyes perhaps felt a slight soft glimmer for the first time, because another night, her cubs had survived.